Hi, I'm Avery,
I'm Lily.
and welcome to From the Closet, where your blessings become inconveniences. Today, we are covering Turning Red on
Did
our.
you not remember this being on the movie wheel?
Yeah,
Neither did I.
that, that's because it wasn't. Today's slot. Lily, what was supposed to release today? Was it Lady and the Tramp?
Oh shit, I think it was Lady and the Tramp.
I
Oh,
think.
it's
I
that or
think.
Wally.
No, I think we did Lady of the Tramp before Wally. I'm like
I
75%
think
sure of that.
I'll have to check the recordings.
I mean, more than likely, I'd have to check my recordings because my recordings are the ones that say it. But anyway,
I could probably actually check them.
this movie only just came out a few days ago, so more than ever, it is important to say this. This will contain spoilers for Turning Red. You can watch it on Disney Plus. I don't know if it's purchasable yet, so I don't know if I'll be able to provide a link where you can purchase the movie.
Hey
Um,
Avery, since it's like a newer movie, can we just say our general thoughts on the movie before going into spoilers?
Yes, sure. Um, I would like to say that I have overwhelmingly, like, overwhelmingly good feelings about this movie. Um, I'm not sure where, like, if I were to rank Pixar movies, I'm not sure where I would rank it exactly, but it would definitely be in the top 10 for sure.
Really? I definitely it came off with like a mixed reaction though, mostly because I saw a lot of the things coming. In
Well,
fact,
see, to me, just because you know how a story ends
that is
doesn't
true, yeah.
necessarily like it. Just because you know how a story ends doesn't make it any less fun to watch.
I just yeah, I can see this from a mile away. But what I did not expect is something that I'll say later. But,
Yeah. Um.
um, just for my general feelings, I did, enjoy myself from watching the movie, and I definitely think, if you have Disney Plus, you should go watch it.
Yeah. And if you don't have Disney Plus, well, hopefully I can find a link where you're able to purchase it. But if not, suck it. Um.
Sucks to suck.
Yeah. Feel bad for you. Also, we won't be spinning a wheel at the end of the recording today because this was kind of a spur of the moment decision by us to do Turning Red. See, I actually didn't think we were going to be able to do this, um, which is why we didn't talk about it beforehand because I thought this was going to be a theatrical release, but it wasn't.
Hmm.
Clearly,
Yeah, clearly.
like
Literally,
I
Avery
was
today was
literally
just like,
I
bro,
was literally
bro.
so dead set on it being a theatrical release that I made plans with my dad to go see it, and it didn't happen.
Your dad's like, so, we going to your place to watch it on Disney Plus, or
I mean, I did offer that after I found out, and we'll see if we end up doing that. But yeah, I very much love this movie, and it seems Lily has like mixed feelings on it.
it's more positive, though it definitely did bring like more confused about it, like confused about my own feelings.
Yeah, but from this point onward, we will be talking about spoilers. So please click away now if you want to avoid spoilers. It's a Pixar movie, so you probably do.
Spoilers incoming in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So
Panda.
about so let's talk about how the mom turned into a new Super Mario Bros. Boss.
I guess.
That was
Okay.
my first thought about it, and I'm just like, oh god.
Okay. So actually, like going into this, I just want to highlight a couple of things because I'm gonna forget to talk about them when we're covering like our synopsis.
Hmm.
Um, okay, so for starters, Turning Red is like it has multiple meanings. Like, for one, it's a reference to menstruation, um, which is an important part of a lot of women's experiences. Obviously, neither one of us can relate because we're both trans women, um, so we don't get our periods. But I mean, this movie I feel like is going to hit. This movie's going to strike a chord more with the female audience than it will with the male audience, and that's mostly due to the type of movie that it is, because it's a girl's coming of age story. Okay, and then turning red also refers to the fact that she turns into a giant red panda. Um, the other thing I wanted to mention is finally we see a movie where a character who is wearing heels needs to run after someone and she stops to take off her heels. Like, God, yes, finally someone does that right. Because, like, I don't personally own heels, but I've worn them before. You ain't running in those. You just ain't.
I have ran in like uncomfortable dress shoes. Ugh.
Yeah, yeah, just no. Also, this comfortable dress shoes, that's the thing only men have.
Well, yeah.
Okay, actually, I have a pair of dress shoes that are pretty okay. Um,
But I need
but
all
anyway,
black shoes for band because apparently if you're in a band you have to wear all black. What is when you're playing music, you're actually
it,
at a funeral as well.
yeah, see, that's exactly where my brain went when you said that. And speaking of playing music, our main character plays the flute, apparently. Um,
Which I mean, I'll have to rewatch the movie because I forgot now, but like I have to rewatch and see if she's actually playing the freaking flute right.
I
I
mean,
don't
she
think
was
she
playing
is.
it. She was playing it horizontally, so
Well, yeah,
I
that's how
mean,
you play flute.
yeah. I
I
mean,
mean,
I've
like,
seen some movies call something a flute, and it's not played horizontally. It's played like a recorder. Um,
and you can mix that up. I mean, there's a clarinet and it looks absolutely nothing like what you would think a clarinet would be.
but yeah, like anyway, starting off, we had a lot of like the way this movie started off. Like I knew I was in for something interesting, because like right out the gate, we actually have fourth wall breaks in here. Um, like May looks directly at the camera and starts talking. like she's aware that there's an audience. But
Yes,
that's not really a consistent thing throughout the movie. It's like she's not Deadpool, but
it almost seems like this is a documentary of her life or whatever.
to me it feels like this is simultaneously both a coming of age story and a parody of coming of age stories.
Yeah, that seems about right.
And like I love that she's 13, so obviously there are cringe moments within the movie. It would feel weird if a 13-year-old didn't do cringy things.
So why do I feel like the more cringy stuff came from the mom?
I mean, she is kind of a Karen and not really that great of a parent, but she grows and actually becomes a better parent by the end of the movie, which
Not very good
is not
daughter
all.
either, you know?
Yeah, I mean, well, no, I think she was doing the best she could as a daughter. It's just, her 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 mom was a bad parent, and that influenced her parenting as well. So it was just bad all around. But like, it's unfortunate that in a lot of movies we don't really see the parents improve. The parents are generally just allowed to get away with being bad parents, like in Coco. Um,
Well, I mean, they did improve just off screen.
yeah, all of it was off screen, so they might as well not have improved for all
Though
the
you,
viewers concerned.
just So you might actually like Encanto.
Yeah, well, we'll cover that. We'll cover Encanto eventually. We still haven't gotten around to that one. Um, but anyway, so yeah, we start off. It's kind of wild. I think um, after the opening narration ends, she's like running through a school, and we see her friends who are all just fantastic. I love her friends.
You
Um,
know who doesn't love her friends?
Tyler.
Well, yeah.
I'm guessing you.
But like, no, I was talking about the mom.
Oh, right. Okay.
Um,
Um,
no, we hate Tyler. All my homies hate Tyler.
you know, okay, so Tyler kind of reminds me of the age-old debate. Well, it's not really a debate, but basically, there's this idea that you can't really tell the difference between a toxic straight person and a closeted gay person with internalized homophobia.
Huh.
Because that closeted gay person with the internalized homophobia, they're closeted to themselves too. So they're outwardly expressing homophobia as a means of like lashing out, but it's more of a cry for help and they don't realize it. That's what Tyler reminds me of. Considering we later see that he's a fan of Four Town, kind of makes sense.
Okay. There's something that I need to I need to say that where the mom was absolutely right about one thing in the early movie.
What's
Why
that?
the fuck are they named Four Town if there's 5 people in the band?
Yeah, I love that that's not explained. It just adds to the hilarity, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I like what I like is that it's not explained, but it was explicitly called out.
Yeah, and then like on top of that, the mom is a music snob too, and I really, really hate music snobs.
But at the
It's
same
like
time, like
that's not music, that's filth.
I would
Like
say the same thing to rap, honest. Well, some rap.
I don't like rap. I hate it, but like I'm not gonna sit here and be like rap isn't music. I mean, it's different strokes for different folks. I think it's terrible. And anyway, so we meet her friends, and then they're wanting her to come. They're wanting the main character May to come with them for like karaoke, but she wants to go home and clean because she likes cleaning. Sure, Jan.
But it's also something like, yeah, while you're also, um, you know, saying no to your friends, you're also standing up to peer pressure.
Yeah, it's not really peer pressure though. It's um, like there's no harm from to going to karaoke, and but like peer pressure is more serious than that. That's you're kind of like downplaying peer pressure a bit.
Well, I mean, peer pressure is just the act. What you're actually doing can differ.
Yeah, but like there's no harm in her like not going. Like there's no harm in her going, and there's no reason to stand up to peer pressure here. Like it's not like at any point in the movie she is pressured by her peers to do something that is harmful, but it certainly seems like several times throughout the movie she's pressured by people who are much older than her into doing something that could potentially be harmful emotionally speaking.
Do drugs, kids. What? I'm just
But yeah,
saying, like she
I
knows her
really
responsibility is to go take care of cleaning.
can we talk about how this movie is like focusing on an Asian community set in Toronto, Canada?
Yes, we can.
Because that's amazing. I never like would have thought of doing that. It's not something that would have come across my mind. And their home or restaurant, is it a restaurant, home, is it
It's
both?
a
I don't
temple.
know.
Oh my god! And in this scene, let's just
Like,
say, they somehow make cooking more beautiful than actual cooking.
I mean, that cooking animation is chef's kiss.
Literally,
But
chef's kiss.
yes, literally. Why does the cooking animation in this movie look better than the cooking animations in Ratatouille?
Avery,
Because
Avery, you're,
Ratatouille was
Avery, you're
like
not gonna believe this. I think
because
it's
Ratatouille was like 10 years ago or something
yeah,
longer.
like
Longer probably.
definitely
Um
longer.
but yeah, it's like Pixar always knocks it out of the park with animation.
They
And
just
rightfully so.
overdid. Like they put too much money, resources into that one cooking scene.
You got to have those money shots, Lily.
I know, but like literally, it goes from the normal animation from the movie, and it just feels like they're switching to a new animation of the most beautiful cooking I've ever seen, and
And
then back to real life.
the normal animation of the characters kind of reminds me of Charlie Brown.
Oh shit! Damn, I never thought about that.
Yeah, I thought it was really cool, but it like also looks better than Charlie Brown because naturally this is Pixar. I mean,
Oh
Pixar
yeah,
did the first ever fully CG animated movie. That was Toy Story. They had a photorealistic cat in Toy Story 4. Like literally, I showed it to other people and they were like, "There is no way that that is just a digital cat."
yeah. I mean,
And,
if you want to talk about Pixar's roots, those humans were horrifying.
oh yeah, the humans in Toy Story 1 were terrifying. That's why they were barely in the movie. But anyway, yeah. So, uh, okay. After, remind me what happens after like after they eat.
They eat.
You can't remember, can you?
Well, neither can you.
Well, yeah, but like I would expect one of us to be able to remember.
Shit.
Uh,
Oh wait. It was with the drawings.
oh God. Okay, so earlier when May was out with her friends, they came across this guy working in like a gas station, I think.
At a convenience store.
Yeah, some same thing. Who cares? Anyway,
Like
um,
no.
and
Never mind.
they all find him hot. And of course May is just trying to deny that she finds him hot, but she does, and she draws some stuff in her like little sketchbook thing, and it's kind of a weird awakening for her. Um, and then her mom discovers it, drives to the convenience store and confronts the guy and slams the drawings down in front of him. Like, what the hell, lady? You have no reason to assume he even knows who she is. And she's like, "Oh, you've lost a loyal customer." Like she's literally just goes full Karen inside the store and yelling at a teenage employee working minimum wage probably.
I mean, looking at his stare, I see less than minimum wage.
Yeah,
Then
so
again,
it's
it is
like,
2002.
oh yeah, Karens were just as bad in 2002. We just didn't name them until like 2018 or something.
Oh yeah, I feel like we named him in 2016.
No, there's no way. There is no way Karen was a named thing in 2016.
Hmm.
Um,
Anyway,
Matter of fact, you continue like talking, and I'm gonna look up when the Karen meme originated.
okay then. So obviously that was how would I say, over the top. And during the ride home, the fuck, I forgot her name. Anyway, protagonist's emotions grow up, get worse and worse, and and then they turn into a red panda.
Yeah.
From
She turns into a red panda in her sleep. By the way, her name is May.
oh, thank
Because
you.
um,
Wait,
so yeah, it was kind of interesting, and we sort of see her like feeling out how it works while she also tries to hide it from her mom, who at first thinks it's period. Um, and it sort of seems like when she gets too excited, the panda will pop out. Of course, we'll later learn that it's when she feels any strong emotions whatsoever.
I thought it
Continue.
was just major anger. Also, this learning that it's May again, but now I actually connected with something else. When I first saw the trailers, there's one person I connected her personality to, Mabel.
Yeah, I don't feel like that really works that well.
Well, it was
Because
when I just saw the trailers, and I haven't, like, at the time I was thinking, like, in some parts, yes, in other parts, no. The trailer showed only the parts where it was yes.
some people might consider this a hot take, but I would say that May is a much better character than Mabel. Because
Eh,
Mabel is by far the most frustrating character in Gravity Falls. And we talked about that in our Gravity Falls Season 2 episode, which should be coming at the end of this month.
yeah. Um, so obviously, um, she keeps it in. I'm I need to stop before I recite Let It Go. Um, and she goes to school. And then her mom at school shows up at school. She
And
knows
just
that there's a main
announces.
she knows that
It,
there's a main entrance to the school, right?
yeah, and she basically does like the tactics that she uses to like basically stalk her child would literally put like the school that I went to into lockdown. Like she is honestly just that ridiculous. So by the way, technically you were right because
Yes.
the term Karen was first used on Reddit in 2016, but it didn't start becoming a popular meme until 2018.
I'll take it.
So I was also technically right. So technically we were both right. Because I definitely don't remember Karen being a thing when I was in school. Oh my god, that was so long ago.
I feel like I have heard Karen before then. So then again, I live in very Karen-y part of the world.
I live in Alabama.
I live nearby California, nearby Portland,
I would
Oregon.
say I would say Alabama's worse. But anyway,
You seen those drivers?
yes, Alabama's got some shitty drivers too. Trust me. But anyway, uh, God. So she announces to everyone in the class that May forgot her pads. Never mind that she's not even actually on her period. And that like causes her so much embarrassment that she turns into a giant red panda. Um,
And
so
then runs
before we
away.
like, yeah. and she runs away, and obviously there's like this whole chase sequence with May and her mom, and May basically just runs home and stuff. But before like moving on, it's kind of sad to me that like women's puberty is something that is people get embarrassed over, because like it's become a normal topic. Like men's puberty is fine to talk about most of the time. Like nobody really gets that. It's not that embarrassing, but it's when it comes to women's puberty, it's almost like women collectively have to keep it a secret because men are too grossed out by it. And it's just not great. And it was just something I thought of
Hmm.
later after finishing the movie.
I mean,
It's
again,
like,
extremely accurate. It's in 2002.
yeah, and I mean, granted, that sort of interaction would probably still happen today, but you know, it is starting to become better. But it's still not quite there. And part of the reason is that we don't have. Well, okay, I can't speak for Canada, but I know in America we don't have adequate sex ed, especially here where I live in the South, where it's just don't have sex and that's it.
Really,
That's.
in Oregon, we actually have quite extensive,
Oh,
and
really? Do they talk about gay sex?
only in high school. Well, okay, they don't actually talk about gay sex. They talk about sex, and then they talk about gay. Two separate topics. They don't actually merge them in.
Yeah, see, that's a problem because, like, okay, we're going off on a tangent here, but I will talk about it. When two straight people have sex, it's not being considered straight sex. It's just sex. But when two men have sex, it's gay sex, and when two women have sex, it's lesbian sex, and those are far less talked about. Right? There are a lot of LGBT people who don't know the high rates of STDs and things in like it, it, there's just so many problems with sex ed in general. Um, but anyway, we should probably move off of this topic because we are
Well,
talking about turning red.
um, at least, because I remember, like, before, they'd have sex ed separately, in which obviously it would make the other sex completely ignorant on, the other person's bodily functions, which
Oh
is
yeah,
why,
splitting up classes for sex ed never made sense to me.
oh god, what is that subreddit? Um,
Which Bad Women's Anatomy, is that the one you're thinking of?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, that's a very popular subreddit, mostly because sex ed is just so bad in this
Anyway,
country, especially in the
Oregon
South.
has it, not separated.
Well, good, because
Though I remember,
hopefully Oregonians can understand what periods are, because the amount of grown men I see not understanding what periods are is quite ridiculous, and it says a lot about the education system.
yeah. I just remember, like, when I was in sixth grade when I first took sex ed. It was in my science class, apparently.
We straight up didn't have a sex ed class in my school. It was literally just part of our health class. They briefly talked about the names of several STDs, didn't tell you really anything about how
Oh
to
no, in
prevent
my
them
high
other than,
school, we went over like a bunch of STDs, a lot of like interceptives on like birth control condoms, and even the percentage on how that helps.
yeah, and it's like where I live, they would literally just tell you don't have sex and move on.
Oh, and don't forget, in 10 years later, be like, why haven't you had kids yet?
Yeah, and it's like, ugh. And
Oh,
that's the whole other thing of treating sex as something to be ashamed about. But anyway, we're getting far too off topic. This is a kids movie.
there's also a coming to age story, and that Just bringing that out.
I mean, she's in eighth grade. Like, the main character's in eighth grade, so this is probably when you want to be talking about it anyway. Um,
of course, this is 2002. Anyway, her friends find her, literally sneak into her house.
oh no, they don't sneak in. She pulls them in.
Well, that's true, but I mean, she helps them sneak into the house.
Yeah, but you skipped over a scene because, like, we have this scene between May and her mom and her dad where she finds out that this panda thing that's going on is actually genetic. Um, and they kept it from her, which, like, why? They're like, oh, I thought I would have more time. Like, really? That's such a
Honestly,
lame
like, no, I
excuse.
really would not say it. Like, I actually felt the stress of, like, okay, how in the frick would you explain? So, you know how normal people, go through puberty? Yeah, you're gonna be turning into a red fucking panda.
Yeah, except apparently it's not actually linked to puberty. Um, because, like, puberty can happen sooner or later, apparently, because, like, they were talking about her period. So,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even though she doesn't actually get it because she's still too young.
Well, I mean,
Or
during,
not
like,
not really too young. It's just her body's not there yet because you can absolutely get your first period at 13. Um,
but, God, I had a train of thought and you derailed it.
oh well, I mean, it probably derailed because Joy and Sadness and Bing Bong were doing something weird.
God damn, they're smoking meth again.
That was another Pixar reference for you out there at home listening, or
Um,
wherever the fuck you are when you're
I
listening to this
definitely felt
podcast.
like, just her stress of, like, I have time next day. Hmm. Like, every time she thinks about it, it's like, oh, don't worry, I'll have time. I'll have time. And when it comes, fuck.
Yeah, it's like she just kept putting it
But
off
I
and
also
putting it off,
feel
and it
like,
bit her. And it didn't just bite her in the ass, but it
oh
bit May
yeah.
in the ass too.
I also felt like in one of her lines, she silently hoped that it just wouldn't happen. Like, I think, she just goes to sleep like, you know, it could also just, just end with her, Like, you know,
I don't think there was that implication in the movie, to be honest.
well, I mean, there was the scene, like, I didn't want it to happen to her. Like, she knew it would happen, so I wonder if she hoped that it just didn't.
But yeah, like, moving on, her friends are, like, really supportive, and it's nice, and essentially it helps her get the transformation kind of under control. So they all try to ask their parents if they can go to this concert thing. And immediately when they were talking about that, I was like, all of their parents are going to say no.
Wasn't like a quite a few of them said yes, but yeah, freaking get the money.
Yeah, one of them said yes, but you have to pay for the tickets. And
Yeah.
oof. But yeah. And this is kind of where we see May's mom being a music snob some more, which still just annoys me. But like, moving on from there,
Her mom
actually, what did
complains.
happen next?
So her mom complains about, it's not real music, And then the husband walks up, goes to get the phone. It's like, it's your mom. It's your mom. And she, without a beat, just tucks on her. It's like, I'm not here.
relatable because I have family members that I like to avoid as well.
Honestly, I just felt that I was just like, oh god. I like when sort of I wouldn't call her completely evil, but more antagonists have human moments.
yeah, because like she is definitely an antagonist in this movie, and there's a lot of antagonists, but it strangely didn't feel disjointed to me. Mainly because it felt kind of realistic. Because it's a coming of age story, you wouldn't really have one main protagonist in this kind of story. Um,
It's a
I
coming of
mean, sorry,
age story, but she
one
can
main
use
antagonist.
magic. She can use magic, and actually, I'm using this as sarcasm, but I just remembered the final scenes of the movie, and like, oh yeah, really did use magic and go crazy.
Yeah, but yeah. So moving on from there, like we know that you know May's grandmother and is going to be coming, and she's bringing backup. Meanwhile, May and her friends just kind of go into the bathroom after like a dodgeball game goes wrong, and May kind of transforms. Um,
I mean, the dude deserved it.
yeah, the dude was an ass, but they go into the bathroom. May is a giant red panda, and then another girl walks in who we saw the day before when during the chase May had locked herself in the bathroom, and a girl came out of the stall and saw her. And I just love how everyone finds her adorable.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, it's the best. It's like, oh. And they offer her money, and what do you know? They had all just talked about planning on raising money for uh, all of them going to this concert that they're not allowed to go to.
So, and here's the big thing about this. How are they making the merchandise?
Yeah, and why are they making the merchandise is
Well,
another question.
why is for the money.
Yeah, but like they'd be making more money. Like they don't have to make merchandise
Well, I
to
mean,
make money.
they're starting to start. This is a startup company, Avery.
Sure, it is. It's not like they're just going to discontinue it after the concert is over.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they start selling it at the temple.
Yeah, but then it wouldn't be the girls' business. That'd be the family business.
Yeah, but I
And
mean, the family could hire them. Just saying.
but they clearly didn't though, because like at the end of the movie, May leaves work to go to go like
They're on their
karaoke with
day
the
off.
girls.
The girls are on their
Sure,
day off.
sure. I mean, it's not like May was working or anything.
May is always working.
But anyway, so they go about raising money for this contest, and then Tyler kind of blackmails May into uh like
Yeah, no, that was
letting it.
full on blackmail.
Yeah, he kind of just blackmails her into showing up to his party so that other people will show up. And she's like, sure, for $200. And
I
it was like
mean,
done. And he was just like done, and I'm like, what? And then we find out he's rich, and I'm like, oh, that makes sense.
should have charged more money.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, but uh, before before May can make it to the party, um, her grandmother and her aunts show up, and there's this ritual that they're supposed to be doing to cure May of her ability to turn into a panda. Um, and it like takes place on the 25th. The concert is supposed to be on the 18th. More on that later. Um, but yeah, uh, so her aunts and her grandmother are kind of not really letting her leave. Um, and
But she does
eventually,
anyway.
she's eventually able to get off to her room and sneak out and go to the party. and it's generally a good time until there's like a bit of an argument between her and her friends, um, and it gets really heated. And meanwhile, her mom goes into her room and discovers all the stuff about like the business where they were making money and shit because she just kind of hid it under her bed. Great hiding place there, May. And she manages to make it to the party, and she makes it there right as May pounced on Tyler for being an ass. Um, and I feel like Tyler is an ass because, like I was saying before, he's an ass because he's really just it's a cry for help. You can tell it's a cry for help because he's insecure and everything.
Yeah.
It doesn't excuse his behavior, but like, come on, we all make mistakes when we're kids. I mean, let the kid grow and don't just hate him forever. And like, clearly, the girls share the same sentiment that I do because he's a part of their group at the end of the movie. Um, and like, they fully embrace him when they make it to the concert and everything. But
Yeah,
oh
before
boy,
Giant Panda.
But whoo boy, let's talk about that scene where the mom confronts the friends because that was
I feel like we're
that was
skipping
rough.
over a scene.
Are we? Because I
Because
can't
I
think.
remember, well, didn't they get all the money or whatever? And because, and then, the radio said, oh, by the way, this whole thing is going to be on the 25th.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Because um, one of the girls misread the paper, uh, and the band was actually supposed to show up in Toledo, which like I don't know where that is, on the 18th, and they were going to show up in Toronto on the 25th, and
I
this movie
mean,
takes place in
no
Toronto.
one actually knew where Toledo was.
And speaking of movies that take place in Toronto, Scott Pilgrim versus the World was our first ever podcast episode, and that movie is now free on IMDb TV.
Huh.
Like I just saw an
Okay,
article
then.
about that. Yeah, I just saw an article about that the other day. They described it as a Mary Elizabeth Winstead movie, and I'm like,
That's a long title.
well, sure, she's in the movie and she is one of the main characters, but like, it's more of a Michael Cera movie than a Mary Elizabeth Winstead movie. Um, but anyway, this isn't about Scott Pilgrim. This is about Turning Red. And yeah, so turns out concerts on the 25th. That's the same day that they have to do the summoning,
Yeah,
the
this
ritual,
the
the
ritual.
ritual to cure May of her panda transformation thing.
And then they lose their friendship. And then the 25th comes.
Yeah, because like May kind of just doesn't stand up to her mother, which like I understand. Like I understand that fear of doing that, but goodness, that was I really felt bad for the friends there, and I also felt bad for May. So it was kind of like I understood everyone in that scene. And then one of
Except
the
for the mom.
friends, yeah, except for the mom, fuck her. But one of the friends picks up a it's one of those virtual pet things from the early 2000s. I don't remember what they were called.
Oh my,
Um,
I can't believe, I think I'm actually too young to know what that is.
yeah, I mean, I actually remember them. I didn't own one, but I remember other people having one. Um, because I'm actually old enough to remember the early 2000s. And Lily is like 5. Um,
Really? I, anyway. So, we get back to the summit, it's the 25th now. There's a
Yeah, it's
summoning.
like they
Um,
do a really large time jump here because like it's clearly before the 18th when they have this argument and there's that whole fight and everything, but now it's the 25th.
but
So
now,
at least a week has passed.
but now everything is ready. The red moon is rising.
The blood moon rises once again. Please be careful, May. Comment down below if you got that reference. We're not going to say what it was.
God damn, I wanted to say what it was. Whatever.
um, but anyway, so yeah, there's this whole thing, and it's honestly like really interesting. And if if we were doing this podcast at a later, like if we were doing this podcast episode at a later date, I am sure I would have much more to say about the astral world, other than just that bamboo forests typically aren't that pretty, and
I'm sorry.
God, it's beautiful.
I love bamboo forests.
No, they typically aren't that pretty, especially when you
I
get a
like
lot of
bamboo
rotten
forests.
bamboo.
Oh,
Especially when you get a lot of rotten bamboo in
that's
there,
true.
which we don't see here.
Yeah, but the
Um,
astral plane doesn't have rot.
sure, but yeah. So she starts going through this ritual and then realizes, you know what? I don't want to give up the panda, and so she doesn't. And she transforms into a panda in the middle of the circle that they're doing, and she's like, I'm going to the concert because her friends just decided to go without her. Which
Eh,
weird. I don't know if she would know that or not, but I mean,
I mean,
it's possible. It's certainly possible that she knew they were going, um, because like a week has passed. They've certainly
yeah.
been to school, um, so yeah, it's kind of odd. But hey, whatever. She goes to the concert, but at the same time, uh, her mother gets so angry that her like little gem thingy cracks and she transforms into her giant panda self.
So, I think, they used her as the model for Godzilla in this universe.
Oh my god. Uh, I mean, this was 2002, so I doubt it. Godzilla's probably older, if it exists in this universe at all. I mean, there's a lot of
Super
things
Common
that
Brother says, this is an official question. Is Godzilla in Pixar?
I mean, we know for sure that Disney exists within the Pixar universe. And this is all talking about the Pixar theory, by the way, which we don't really have much to talk about because, like, how Turning Red fits in hasn't really been like a good breakdown of how Turning Red fits in has not yet been posted online at the time of us recording. It could by the time we upload, but at the same time, I don't expect it. Because that would still be too soon, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Just from my guessing, I would say it would still be too soon.
My guess is going to be Thursday.
I mean, I'm expecting sometime next week, so
Now,
um,
I mean, can we at least say at least our theories on it?
I mean, sure. So early on in the movie, well, actually, let's talk about this after we get through with summarizing the plot.
Fine. Okay, so Godzilla. Actually, no. Let's talk about how freely May can control the panda now.
Yeah, it's like freaking amazing. She can use it to like launch herself, and oh my god, she's just straight up having fun with it, and I love it. Um,
Do I really want to do that plug? Yeah, why not? No, because I don't know how or why, but that kind of just reminded me of a freaking platformer.
what platformer?
um, freaking what lies within the multiverse.
Oh my god.
Well, it's because of how fluid, like the jumps were, and how you just change at a moment's notice.
But yeah, she makes it to the concert, makes it back to her friends. She and her friends make up. They discover Tyler, and then Mom shows up, Panda Mom, and we see what's probably the cringiest scene in the entire movie, where May is just like shaking her butt at
Oh yeah,
her
that's
mom.
definitely
But
us.
like she's trying to make her mom cringe. That's kind of the point.
Yeah, that's true.
It's like she's like, deal with it. I'm 13. I'm not you. And like obviously it's like, the whole message of this movie is like accepting yourself. And
Hmm.
honestly the whole movie could really just be a metaphor for periods.
Now this movie really just went like, "Hey mom, I know your problems, but that seems like a you problem."
Yeah, exactly. And it's like eventually they draw this great big circle and a whole bunch of people come together and they sing because you have to sing from the heart in order for the portal to the astral plane to
I'm
open.
actually do kind
um
of like the chanting that they were doing. It's almost hypnotic.
I like how it combined with the Four Town music.
I'm
That was
surprised on how well it combined.
I mean, I'm not. I mean, the Four Town guys are professionals.
Oh yeah, I'm just like, this is like very old music, and then this is new music for the time, and it's just like, damn, this slaps.
Yeah, I
Because
was
I can
surprised
hear,
by the I
I
was
can
surprised by the Four Town music actually slapping.
no, I can hear the old music and the Newtown music, but at the same time, like it, not one overclouds the other.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And eventually, they get into the astral plane, and we see a young version of May's mom. She looks to be about 13, and there's like this whole conversation about how uh, she hurt her mom. Um, and May generally kind of like makes her feel better, and like during this whole process, also the aunts and the grandmother all shattered their things to you
Mhm.
know try to help get their mother, like try to
Big
help get
fan.
May's mom into the circle, because May's mom is huge when she's in her red panda form. She's way bigger than any of them.
I'm just wondering how when they discovered her red panda, how did that not just immediately break the house? And if it did, um, how long did it take repairing the house?
Well, we don't get to know that, but I imagine it did break the house, or it could have happened outside for all we know. But I mean, clearly for May, it happened in her sleep. So
Yeah, I wonder if like because it seems just so natural in sleep because you have the dream of the ancestor.
yeah, and okay, so eventually, basically, all of them go through like this weird little portal-looking thing, and it seals their red panda spirit away, and May does not, and we get this beautiful animation again, and then we get like a bit of a time jump, and everything's like great. May's kept her panda form. Their business is like the family business is kind of like bustling, be as good as ever. She and her friends are,
I feel like you're
just
trying
great.
to avoid the phrase, business is booming, like without.
No, no, I wasn't. I didn't even think about that. Um, and you know, everything's just fantastic. It's a great ending. I like the my panda, my choice joke. I thought that was funny. But yeah, that's kind of the end of the movie.
I also like how all the friends who like want to stay for dinner is like yes.
And okay, so now we can talk about like our ideas of how it might fit into the Pixar theory. And
So
of
this is
course,
a
the Super Carlin brothers explanation is probably going to be different, or it might be the same. And also, I just want to mention, I don't know, I looked, but I did not spot an A113 in this movie. It's probably here, but I just didn't see it.
wait. Oh my god, I didn't look. Was there a Pizza Planet truck?
I don't remember. I wasn't
Oh
looking for that
crap.
either. I never remember to look for Pizza Planet truck. I always look for
Oh
A113
yeah.
and the voice of John Ratzenberger. But
Also, what
I
about the Luxo ball also appears in like a lot of the movies as well.
yeah, I don't know if I saw the Luxo ball. It wouldn't surprise me if one of the dodgeballs in the dodgeball scene was the Luxo ball.
Oh yeah, that would make sense.
So,
Okay,
if you're
so
unaware of the Pixar theory, it's basically the idea that every Pixar movie takes place on one in the same universe on one giant timeline, beginning with the Good Dinosaur and ending with Monsters Inc. or Brave,
or
depending on how you want to look at it.
or how the Pixar theory currently is because and honestly, under any other circumstances, I probably would look at this line as like, no, that makes absolutely no sense. So they said that they crossed to another world. They came either like they traveled here from like are they Asian?
Yeah.
Yeah, like
And it
from
could very well mean just migrating from Asia to the Americas.
but for how well this actually fits in, it makes sense completely in this way as well. Where
So
if
yeah,
they
part of the Pixar theory is that after the humans came back to Earth in Wall-E, over millions of years they evolved into the monsters. And one of our ideas for how this could fit in is that
completely
May's
shatters it.
family, yeah, well, no, it wouldn't completely shatter it.
Well,
But it would basically state that May's family is possibly part of that, evolutionary chain, just like an early stage of it, which is similar to the one of the two possible explanations for Luca that we currently have. Um,
I was thinking about like forgetting that and more of just what if they're actually in their own world. So there's more of a monster world and a human world, but if it didn't start as a monster world and it was turning red, that actually um had like the DNA effect to the monsters.
I'm gonna be honest, that was way too wordy, and I did not really understand what you said.
Two worlds existing in the Pixar universe, and or I guess two universes in the Pixar multiverse.
I don't know. That seems less likely. I know you kind of doubt the
Mm-hmm.
time travel aspect. Um, I will say this: I know for sure you haven't done as deep of a dive into the Pixar theory as I have. The more and more and more I look into it, the more likely it seems that it is time
I
travel.
just can't get around that, especially in how. I mean, I had a Pixar theory phase once. I was really looking into it.
Yeah, it's getting to seem more and more likely with things like Luca, for instance. And Luca also reinforcing one of our theories about cars. Um, and then there's also the idea. There was also the discovery of like the human side of the door being 1955 in Monsters Inc.
Hmm.
and that tracing back to the Black Death as a possible reason for why monsters believe a single touch from a human could kill you.
Well, that could also be if they're in a different world as well.
Yeah, except that the way the time travel works is like it's a one to one. They can only travel back a set distance in time.
Well, I mean, if it was, actually, that's less, likely in, so if you would think about time travel, that would make less sense to travel one to one if it wasn't an, alternate universe, because like when you jump universes, you're not going back in time in that universe, you're going back to present time in that universe.
What I'm saying is like I don't think it's separate universes. I think they're actually just traveling through time, and
Hmm.
it just seems likely. The weird thing to me is like this family has existed for ages, um, so it would make sense that you know the
They
time
came from the
travel
future.
yeah, no, like it would make sense for it to be an early stage, because like okay, what I'm trying to justify like why this movie takes place in 2002, because
Hmm.
it would be the monsters are fully evolved by the time it would be 2002 on the human side of the door, but the family is ancient and clearly they've been here for a long time.
Hmm.
So like we but then there's like this whole origin story, um and I don't know, it seems like part of the origin story could have been lost. Another theory that we had is they could just be supers, and we don't really like we know that supers are legal after Incredibles 2, but it's been 50 no 6 no bleh, 40 years since then. Um so we don't really know what happened. Lightyear might tie into that when that comes out. And that's in June. But I'd be interested to see the Super Carlin brothers take on this,
Hmm.
because they're basically the authority on the Pixar theory at this point.
Though one thing from both the theories is that the people who have invented the door, whether it be traveling through universes or traveling through time, could very well be the,
This family, yeah,
yeah,
it
this
could,
family.
which is interesting, because we saw a similar door in Brave. Obviously, in Brave, the witch wasn't traveling through time, but it was a magic door.
Traveling through multiverses.
But yeah, anyway, wow, we are over an hour. So,
Wow, this
do
would
you?
be very painful for our editor. Wait.
I mean, we're not that far over an hour. I'll probably just sync up the audio and call it a day.
Yeah.
But I would say that my favorite part of this movie, which we didn't talk about in our plot summary, is when um, May's dad and May have their little talk, and he says that like if she really wants to get rid of the panda, she like he'll support her, but he likes the side of her that he has seen since the panda has come into her life.
Yeah. Obviously, the mom needed that panda out of her because, well,
It was destructive. It was a source of trauma,
and
and like,
freaking King Kong.
yeah, it's like the others they can get rid of their panda just fine, and like because they want to, but I feel like going forward, this family is going to be a lot less restrictive about getting rid of the panda. It'll be like, oh yeah, you can get rid of it if you want to, but you only have one chance, and we aren't going to force you to. I feel like going forward, it'll be a lot more like that.
Hmm.
Um, and it's kind of funny to think, like, with this movie taking place in 2002, that May would be 33 if she were a real person living today.
Hmm.
But yeah,
Now we have new theories on if who is actually. Oh Christ! I didn't actually think about that. Because now
what?
we have a new movie to consider who 22 is.
Actually, that was already one of the popular theories.
Oh, really?
Like long before this movie came out, May was like. We'll talk more about that when we discuss Soul. Um,
Can we talk about that after like the recording?
certainly, because I would need to rewatch the video of who does 22 become, because there's a whole thing on her badge that like describes different aspects of of their personality. My bad, because we don't know if 22 becomes a male, female, machine, non-binary. We don't know. And I say machine because one of the theories is that 22 becomes Wally. Um, but
Wait,
yeah,
how how would anyone know about? I mean, I guess trailers and whatnot, but did someone really look at the trailer of this movie? It's like, what if they're 22?
yeah,
Yeah, probably.
I think it was entirely based on the trailer.
Yeah, that
Because,
damn.
but yeah. Anyway, do you have anything left you want to say about this movie?
That I completely forgot that we had to rate it.
Yeah, I'm very interested to hear your rating first.
Well, wow. What a privilege. Can you make something up first?
Like what? That okay, actually coming into this, I was expecting us to actually have a movie where we highly disagreed on, because we still haven't had that yet, and we've recorded
Huh.
maybe 30-ish episodes.
I mean, we disagreed on like certain parts of like when we were, talking about a movie, but nothing like I love this movie. Well, this movie sucks.
Yeah, it's like I really would like to see us eventually have wildly different ratings for a movie.
Why is if I honestly feel like that time will come where it's a movie I like and a movie you hate.
Yeah, I feel like it probably wouldn't happen the other way around. Because like
Um,
you have some okay, to be fair, like I was thinking this might be the case this time, where like it was a movie I loved and you didn't like it very much, because of the way, like because of the DMs you were sending me while watching it.
um, I only sent you two.
Yeah. So it really wasn't much to go off of.
Honestly, um, okay, the I really was just like I saw like halfway in the movie is like, why do I feel like she's just going to accept her panda self and that's like what we're all gonna get into? And yeah, I was right about that part.
Yeah, and like I mean, like I knew that was going to happen too. But like I said at the beginning of this podcast, even
Hmm.
if you know how a story ends, that doesn't make it any less fun to watch.
Though a lot less cheesy than I predicted, so I'll give it that.
Yeah,
Like I thought it was gonna be like so much cheese and that's why I worded it like that, but honestly, not that much cheese.
I've seen somebody like I've actually seen somebody react to this movie and give it a rating at the end. And keep in mind that this is a guy's rating, and this movie definitely is going to appeal more toward women than it will toward
He
men.
hated it.
He didn't hate it, but he gave it
Oh.
a 6.9.
Hmm. Yeah, I'm thinking about
Nice.
high 7. Like, or maybe 8. Or maybe low 8.
I
Ah,
mean, we need a
fuck it.
score.
Ah, fuck it. 8.3.
All
I
right.
mean, I'd definitely watch this over A Bug's Life.
I would too. I definitely watch this over a lot of other Pixar movies just because I love the characters and
Yeah.
everything. And I actually think the mom's story arc is pretty compelling. So, with all that
Oh yeah, I
said,
completely forgot about. This movie actually has quite a few parallels to Encanto.
I haven't seen Encanto, so we'll
Just
definitely discuss that possibly when we cover Encanto,
if we
um,
remember.
if we remember, yeah. Um, so, with all that being said, I am giving this movie a 9.1.
Oh really?
Yeah. So here is the point in the podcast where we would normally spin a wheel to determine what movie we're covering next. But we're not doing that, and this also isn't a free movie of the month, so it's kind of weird. It doesn't fit either one of the normal criteria for movies that we do. It was kind of spur of the moment. Don't expect this to happen too often.
We are. Let's name this category. Just, I just want to name this category of our podcast just something stupid.
We'll discuss this later if it actually becomes a category.
Just like, just something to call art like this part. Just where like, bro, new movie coming up. In fact, actually, we should do this for the Mario movie.
If we can, because you'd have to figure out a way to go see it in theaters.
I have
And
my ways.
and being honest, I don't have high hopes for this movie. Um, After like okay, I was cautiously optimistic before, but then I learned about like the garbage that Illumination has put out.
We can talk about this in if we ever cover Illumination film.
We probably will eventually.
Eventually. I
But yeah,
think this is the end.
yeah. So until next time, I've been Avery, and that's been Lily,
And
and goodbye.